Doug and PA back on another video. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button on the way in. I really appreciate it. It shows that you support me and the content on this channel. So about a year ago, this girl got arrested for impersonating being a Marine veteran. She said that she was a Purple Heart recipient, saying she was injured in a combat zone. She said that she was a Bronze Star recipient. She became a speaker at a veterans organization that was local to her in Rhode Island, and she raised a bunch of money, about 200 over $200,000. Well, she got arrested and she was sentenced to prison time today. So I'm going to cover the news story and then we're going to go over the NBC News article that describes exactly what she did. I started my public service career at the federal level working for the VA, and both my parents were military veterans. I remember when I worked at a VA hospital, I would um, whenever I would go to the lunchroom for lunch, I would get lunch and I would see a group of guys or women sit around, older, and I would just ask if I could sit with some of them and just listen to their stories about what they went through when they were in the military. And I recommend doing that. If you have a local VA hospital, just sit with some of these older veterans and listen to some of their stories. They're truly awe-inspiring. So I have a lot of respect for veterans, and this stolen valor thing really pisses me off. Why would you pose as a military veteran? It just makes me sick. So we're going to start this news story. Let's see what they have to say about it.
Rhode Island woman accused of posing as a wounded Marine to get charity money has agreed to plead guilty. WBZ's Paula Evans joins us live in studio now. And Paula, she is actually facing a list of charges.
Lisa, we've been following this story since March when 31-year-old Sarah Kavanaugh of East Greenwich, Rhode Island, was arrested. Now she has struck a plea agreement and will plead guilty. Police say Kavanaugh falsely claimed to be a decorated Marine with a Purple Heart and a Bronze Star who was battling lung cancer because of exposure to burn pits in war zones. Police say she also used those claims to fraudulently gain hundreds of thousands of dollars in charitable benefits and services reserved for injured veterans.
So they're going to go over it in the news article, but she bought this uniform and she bought all the medals. And she was speaking at these engagements as a veteran for years, guys. Years. What a scumbag, dude. This is a truly awful person right here. In fact, they even have there are channels on YouTube of guys that are former veterans, and all they do is track down these stolen valor individuals. She probably got away with this so long because she's a woman. I'm not quite sure. I'll have to look into that and see if that's true.
Police say Kavanaugh never served in any military branch. And back in March, we spoke with the executive director of a nonprofit that Kavanaugh had recently asked for help.
Had never served, ever. And apparently she worked for the VA for a little bit, so she knew exactly what to say when asked certain questions and knew exactly what to put on forms and all sorts of stuff because she worked for the VA in Rhode Island.
When I asked her, well, explain to me what happened, and she said to me, I was in Afghanistan. I was the second vehicle in a convoy, and we hit an IED, that was buried on the side of the road. And she said that her lung cancer was a direct correlation from particulate matter related to the IED blast, which is an extremely concerning. That's something that happens fairly often that gets overlooked.
Kavanaugh will plead guilty to charges of fraud, aggravated identity theft, forgery, and fraudulent use of medals. A judge will determine her sentence.
Okay, so all those different charges. Let's go and see what she got charged for. It says, woman who posed as sick, wounded Marine gets nearly 6 years in prison. It says, a Rhode Island woman who posed as an alien military veteran to collect hundreds of thousands of dollars in benefits and charitable contributions has been sentenced to nearly 6 years in federal prison, the Department of Justice said. Sarah Jane Kavanaugh, who never served in the U.S. military, claimed that she was a Purple Heart and Bronze Star decorated Marine who had been wounded by an IED in Iraq. Kavanaugh, 32, also claimed that she had developed service-related cancer. And to the service-related thing, I have a couple of friends who were in the military, and they're struggling to get their full ratings of disability. So I have a couple of friends who are going through that process right now. It's a tough process. You have to get all your paperwork, all this thing. So the fact that she even started that process when she never even served in the military. I want to say it one more time. It just makes me sick. Continuing, it says Kavanaugh was charged with using forged or counterfeited military discharge certificates, wire fraud, fraudulently holding herself out to be a medal recipient with intent to obtain money, property, or other tangible benefit, and aggravated identity theft in 2020, March of 2022. In August 2022, she pled guilty to several of those charges, including wire fraud, aggravated identity theft, forged military discharge certificate, and fraudulent use of military medals. On Tuesday, she was sentenced to 70 months in prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release. As part of her sentence, Kavanaugh will have to pay back the $284,796.82 she fraudulently obtained. Guys, this is crazy. It says Kavanaugh was employed by the Department of Veteran Affairs at the Rhode Island Veteran Affairs Medical Center. According to a news release from the Department of Justice, Kavanaugh used her position to misappropriate veterans' identities, their combat experiences, their diagnoses of illnesses, and their valor to devise schemes to enrich herself. CBS News has previously reported that Kavanaugh collected $207,000 from a Wounded Warrior program to pay for groceries and physical therapy. She also collected about $18,500 in financial assistance from a program in Virginia for mortgage payments, home repairs, a gym membership, and other bills, and $4,700 from a fundraising website. She collected another $16,000 from Creative Vets, a charity that provides art therapy for veterans. Kavanaugh also used her fraudulent cancer diagnosis to get months of paid leave from federal employee benefits programs. She did the full gamut, you guys. They should put her under the jail. Because these are all dollars that are needed by people that fought for our country. And she just grabbing a hold of them, putting them in a money bag over her shoulder and running with them. And this is one of the worst parts. Is Kavanaugh also assumed leadership roles in the veteran community, the Department of Justice said, acting as a commander of a veteran of foreign wars post in Rhode Island and giving speeches in a full U.S. Marine uniform, complete with the medals she did not earn but instead purchased online. The Department of Justice referred to Kavanaugh's behavior as a nearly daily criminal conduct. Kavanaugh was caught after an investigation was launched by the Provident Veterans Association with a local organization, Hunter 7, which helps veterans with cancer, became suspicious of Kavanaugh's request for aid. And this is just another example of greed, because there are too many people that get away with this, and she just went a little too far enough where this organization wanted to investigate it because of her cancer diagnosis. But what if she had never done this? Would she have been able to keep going? It says Sarah Kavanaugh's conduct in the course of her scheming is nothing short of appalling, remarked U.S. Attorney Zachary A. Kuna in the Department of Justice news release. By brazenly laying claim to the honor, service, and sacrifice of real veterans, this defendant preyed on the charity and decency of others for her own shameless financial gain. I'm grateful for that. With today's sentence, she has been brought to justice and will face the consequences of her actions. Guys, we all know how, if you're familiar, if you have veterans in your family or you're familiar with the system, you know how hard it is for our veterans to navigate the system. It's not perfect, but you have plenty of veterans who have, men and women who have served our country and are having a difficult time getting their medical needs cared for, their disabilities cared for, and just getting a good quality of life in this country. That's why I have an extra special dislike for people like this, and especially this woman here. Comment about what you think about the story. Do you think 8 years? How much did she get? No, do you think 6 years in federal prison was enough? Do you think that she's ever going to pay this $284,000 back? Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, and I will catch you on the next one.